Hi, everyone. Welcome to I Feel Fine, a conversation series which we do to have those conversations which we don't get a chance to have in our Friday night team offsite or a family dinner party. Conversations about life, well being, success, and really the interesting journey which a lot of leaders have taken to reach where they are. So, in today's conversation, I'm going to talk to Sujot Malhotra, who's a very dear friend and also the CEO of Beardo. Beardo is a company which is a leader in men's grooming and skincare products. They started as a startup, particularly catering to men with beards, and now they've expanded into a large range. And Sujot was working with Marico, who then acquired Beardo. So he moved to Beardo as the CEO. So if you've ever wondered how the transition from a corporate to a startup setup is as a leader, then this is the episode to listen for you. We also talk about his lessons learned along the way. How does he define success? How does he think about life? How does he think about work life balance? And so on. And he gives some nice tips about finding out what you want to do, purpose, and some productivity hacks as well. So enjoy the episode. It's a freewheeling conversation. And let us know in the comments if something really resonated with you. So here you go. Welcome to the show, Sujot. And so thrilled that you could make time. Of course, you had to because we have known each other for very long. And I don't know, 20 years, a little short of 20 years now. Let's not.
I'm not that in my head, so I will not agree with that number.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird when I calculated it, but yeah, let's not give away age. But of course, we have known each other at the time when we were starting our careers. You and some other friends who we just saw, and it's been such an interesting journey. You've of course spent a lot of time in Marico. And when Marico acquired Beardo, you moved to Beardo to lead the business there. So I want to start with, maybe reflecting a little bit, like when you think about the Sujot studying in Delhi University, and we had talked about college fests and which college is good, which college is not, all of those things. To now, when you're leading Beardo, what do you think of that journey? What do you feel when you look back?
I've actually never thought back.
I know.
And all of that. And thankfully, I'm blessed with a bad memory. So actually, I have to think really hard of college and college days and where we used to be and all. But yeah, it was a different world altogether to where we are now. I definitely didn't have all of this plan. Definitely didn't have anything close to this plan. This is what I want to do. I don't think I had a clue for what I want to do. I mean, I did engineering, and I don't know why after engineering I'm doing whatever I'm doing. So I guess that was fun. This was fun in a different way. I've been blessed. I would say that whatever circumstances or people who cared for me had taken some decision, landed up where I am today, and not doing bad by any benchmarks. So had a good time so far, and hope to continue having a good time. So all stints in that sense, whether it's college days or Marico, or all good fun.
Yeah. And we spoke briefly before this conversation a little bit when you were talking about how it is being in a startup. And you've of course spent a lot of career in Marico, which is a very established organization. And what were some of the mental mindset shifts which you think you have gone through, whether by design or by default, after leading Beardo, which is a very different business model? And you can talk a little bit about that if you want. But like, what is the mental mindset shift from a Marico to a Beardo?
I think, again, I was a little blessed that I was in an organization like Marico, which actually has behaved a lot like startups in a lot of places. One of the pieces that the organization prides itself is early empowerment. And I think that's what I see even in this ecosystem. Of course, there are large changes. One of the largest change that I think that has happened in my life is that I've stopped using PowerPoint, and that's actually by any stretch of imagination is a big relief. Spending 20 minutes on a slide to decide what is the right word in the right phrase in the right graphic in the right color to put on it, to let Excel sheets talk for themselves. It's very liberating. So that's a great change. Other than that, I think if I cut all the flab around and all of those pieces, I think at a core DNA level, I actually don't think I made too much of a change. I always believed during my Marico days, the organization works like a startup. The DNA is very much there. Of course, you end up working with different kinds of people, and some people believe their own philosophies and their own culture into the mix, especially in a large setup. And there's a lot of manpower change. Your supervisor sometimes is not from the organization. The person setting down, and all of those things do tend to happen in a large organization. But I think at the very core of it, this is just I would say all the cushioning removed. Brass tracks of what I think Marico was designed to be is where I find myself in. So has its own pluses and positives, pluses and negatives. The negative, of course, I miss the cushioning at times. That cushioning is great, which is not there anymore, and not just for me in this role. I would say in the sector per se, which is nice also in a way. I mean, it's to one each man to himself. You are let loose in a sense. That very limited constraints that a startup can afford to put on people. Like in a well structured organization, you will have the right structures and people ensure you take the right decisions at the right time, and have the right priorities. Over here, even if we want to, and if we try to, we can't, because we are always under resourced, understaffed for our aspirations. And rather than doing everything right, we would rather do 20 more things at any given point of time. And at this scale, we can afford to, because the cost of wrong decisions is not that much. Uh, so it's absolutely fantastic in that sense. And nobody really tells you, this is what you can't do, and feels okay do. And that's the culture of a place like this. I think definitely structured organizations, member well-being is taken care of a lot more than in a place like this. Because over a period of time, I think the work-life balance is thought through. There are a lot of people thinking through, channelizing priorities and so on and so forth. At any given point of time, aspirations don't overwhelm your resourcing. Uh, in our kind of a setup, that's not so. In fact, if you talk to anybody in the sector, that's one of the things that the sector prides themselves on, which is to say, at any given point of time, we are trying to do 10x more than our reach. We are always trying to reach for more, and which ends up taking its toll on people. And I think that's why there is a kind of people who thrive in the startup ecosystem, kind of people who do feel overwhelmed during work from home time, for example. People had this reservation of health, and which is why they didn't come to office and they were working from home and all of that. I find it the other way around in my organization. Like, come what may, whether there is COVID or whatever, people just refuse to stay at home. They want to come to office. Really, if you look at this ecosystem, the world is your oyster. The number of opportunities are absolutely unlimited, and more often than not, you don't know how. I mean, you see a I would say lighthouse. You know which direction you want to head into, but you are never really satisfied with the pace at which you're getting over there. And you're constantly overwhelmed with the I don't know, FOMO, to say there is something that you don't know, and if you knew that, you would be able to get there faster. And it's just a constant state of being, and that's what drives you to try and get there faster. See, authenticity is something that is absolutely I would say, non-compromisable value or attribute that you need to have. And when I say, this is the kind of ecosystem that thrives on people, that thrives on that trust with people. So people need to really, know what's going in your mind, know what you're going through and all. But what I meant over there is that they should not feel that, it's overwhelming. I mean, it's absolutely okay at times to feel that you don't have the next step, but it's absolutely not okay to get overwhelmed by it, and to stop dead in your tracks, because you're the captain of the ship. So you need to know which direction do you need to keep trying to steer, even if the steering is not happening at times, at least not as fast as you would want to. But you can't at that time be questioning, okay, do we head this direction? Do we head?
You can't accept defeat. कि अब नहीं चलेगा. Not like that.
Exactly, it is good. It depends on the context, and you need to know where to cut your losses, because you're constantly trying to do 50 different things, and 20 won't work. So
Yeah.
at times you say, okay, I am now reasonably sure to say, okay, these five won't, and this is time to cut losses. Let these five go, and maybe we focus on the other 15. Uh, but it's okay to be authentic enough with your team, with your immediate managers who are working with you, to let them know at times that you need help, and you want to talk to them and say, "यार, तुम बताओ, what do you think? If this is
Yeah.
the situation." And at any, I don't think in the ecosystem that we work, especially in the DTC ecosystem, anybody has the answer. It's still evolving. So I'll be fooling myself, if I say I have all the answers. I don't. My team doesn't. I think nobody in the industry does. Like everybody is struggling and trying to figure how to make this new age economy work. I think there'll be very very few organizations in the world who manage to figure how to run a DTC company profitably. For example, and I would say when I would say DTC company, it's a DTC channel, which is when you're doing a direct to consumer shipping over there. There are challenges like this which are I would say industry wide challenges, and many such other challenges. Like I'm saying, like I was talking about this plethora of opportunities and what to pick, what not to pick. Absolutely no ways that I even feign to know all the answers, or pretend to know all the answers. I don't. Uh,
Prioritizing must be a big thing, right? Because there are so many opportunities and there's limited resources, as you said. How do you go about prioritizing for your team?
See, prioritization is not just about work. I
Yeah.
mean, I have the regular issues that everybody has. I have a leaking tap at home. I have a mother who needs to be taken to the hospital, and whatever n number of such issues at home.
Yeah.
My gardi giving trouble, not starting, or whatever such things, and
Yes.
whatever difficulties over here. So there is.
Life,
Uh,
generally, life.
uh, and I think startup kind of makes it more difficult on you. Like in the morning, I was having a chat with an old friend of mine, and I had not replied his. I had wished him on his birthday. He had replied back saying, how are you doing, and what's up. And for a change, I was at a place where I couldn't work for an hour, and I had no network, I had nothing, so I could browse through my WhatsApp chat at least and see. And at that time, I was wondering, there is people who you want to get back to. You do want to, but what this new age system does for me, or maybe I am too old for it, I don't know. It's that unlike Outlook, where you can sort message and say who sent what message, you can read the subject or whatever. On WhatsApp you can't. uh, and just a very very small example, and if you have 200 WhatsApp messages in a day, there are those messages that kind of get
Buried.
somewhere lost,
Yeah.
buried over there, and then which you discover 10 days later to say,
Yeah.
shit man, I back on this message, which will not happen in the Outlook economy of things are doing.
Yeah.
So time is definitely the largest challenge.
One of the things which we've seen in the data, which they have researched, is the concept of work-life harmony, work-life integration. And when I speak to people, sometimes people talk about that, what, there are stages in life. And in some stages, it's okay to work 20 hours a week. And in some stages, you need to focus on some of the other parts of your life and look at life as a whole. And, the concepts which I know you're very well familiar with. What is your take on life and what it means to thrive in life? And has that shifted during over the years?
Some of these concepts and some of these principles actually are also quite outdated. I think they belong to a time when life was linear. Life is no longer linear. Uh, you talking about the startup ecosystem per se. There are people at 50, at 60 who are starting up stuff. Like the other day, I was reading the article about a couple in I think Chennai or Hyderabad, who's at 70 started up a company who sells DTC organization, who's now selling pickles because they had some magic recipe. So they are starting up over there. Uh, and I think when you're talking about I'm just taking the parallel. I'm saying the
Yeah.
times when there was a flat time when you used to retire in life. There was a flat time when
Yeah.
enter at an XYZ level in an organization, and how you grow
Yeah.
in an organization, and what things become important.
Yeah.
All of that, I think वो सब अपना relevant नहीं है.
It's all
I think
out. Yeah.
it's the world has got ridiculously democratized in what it has to offer to you, and it's really each man to himself. There are no set rules in that way. I don't know how to put it in words. Really, I think it's The closest word that I would say is pride. I would say, battling for pride. When you are like I'm going back to the word, work ecosystem, because we started off over there in the startup ecosystem. That if you see, how companies have been scaling in this ecosystem at 100x, 100%
Hmm.
growth year on year,
Hmm.
and if there is nobody really holding you back, and
Hmm.
can you really manage to deliver year on year, and
Hmm.
you're really then doing this not for anybody else but for yourself, to say when
Hmm.
when nobody holds you back, it really comes down to your own capabilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
What does change, of course, at senior levels, at my levels, is that you're no longer battling for your own pride. You're battling for the pride of hundreds of others who are part of your own organization. uh, but what is driving you is still the same. They're saying that Marico is a very empowering organization. And Marico lets you do that. Marico lets you
Yeah.
set your own milestones and say, okay, we'll support you. This is what you believe in. Go ahead and try and deliver.
Yes.
Uh, and
Yes.
I think they've shaped me in a certain way, and who I am right now.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think they've been nice enough. I think in times when I was very junior enough and I had aspirations way ahead of my own times, and still I would say tolerate me in that sense.
You've always been like that. I think you'll always be like that, Sujot. The size of the cup should always keep expanding, as this. Awesome. And are there any I'm just curious, when you talked about these aspirations and your beliefs about, battling for that pride, in the startup ecosystem or in the corporate ecosystem, do you see some kind, when you talk to other people, do you see some misconception which people usually have about work-life balance or work-life harmony, or whatever term we want to use?
I think all it really takes is to be able to be truthful to yourself what you really want. If if the balance you need to shift in the favor of life or the favor of work, actually the decision, you are the one who makes a decision. In
Hmm.
any
Hmm.
job, in any role, nobody else makes a decision for you. At
Hmm.
a first level, from my perspective, I find it to be a fallacy, because I believe work and life are intertwined, and there is no life without work and no work without life. So they are not two
Hmm.
isolated cups in my head in
Yeah,
that sense. But taking
absolutely.
the classical convention of a 10 to 5 job, and what you do at home, if I take that as a parallel,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
have throughout even my corporate career, if I were to talk about it, I have seen enough people who are diligent enough or disciplined enough to leave at 5,
Hmm.
with the same bosses and other people in the same team who are sitting in office till 10.
Hmm.
Were the people who leave at 5 disproportionately more intelligent or smarter than the ones who left at 10 and they could finish their work earlier? Absolutely not. It's just
Hmm.
that they possibly had their priorities a little more figured out. Or actually, I think both had. I think the first had a priority of family life, that I'm going to leave at 5. The other had a
Hmm.
priority of doing something more at work, and that's giving some joy, some emotional
Hmm.
benefit over there, higher than what the person possibly gets at home.
Hmm.
So the person choosing to be there till 10. And now it's even truer with this democratization that I spoke about. You really, especially when it comes to work from home, right? You really
Yeah.
make your own choice,
Yeah.
and half the
Absolutely.
work they're still working from home. And there are people who are still as overwhelmed even when they're sitting at home and they're not spending their 2 hours in traffic. And there are people who are in the earlier ecosystem still doing a 9 to 10 kind of a job or whatever, and still not overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think this overwhelming also really comes from you just being honest to yourself. Nobody is really holding you down and saying, okay,
Yeah.
you need to work from this to this hour. Do this, you need to do that. It's really managing the self. That's what it comes down to. I would really tell them advice is overrated. They should just do what their heart tells you. Somewhere deep inside you always know what is the right thing to prioritize on, spend time on, and just be relatively more clearer on where do you, if you're talking about success and being getting
Hmm.
somewhere in life. If you are very clear where you want to get, nobody can stop you. Half the time you don't get there because you are not very sure you really want to get there. You have an idea, but you are scared of the idea in your own head, and you really don't work full time to get there, or you're not sure what path to take. There 30 different paths over here, and those are choices. And if you make the choices a little more cleanly, and you keep working in that direction, and definitely doing that while having fun, That's most important. If you're not having fun doing what you want to be doing, then you're doing the wrong thing. That's the most important thing. That's the only thing I've said, and that's really comes down to being truthful to yourself. If you know, if you're being truthful to yourself about where you want to really get and not where the world wants you to get, there is no way that you will not have fun doing what you're doing. I think you can do well in any field that you choose. You can be the world's best cobbler if you feel that you want to be a cobbler.
Yeah.
Uh, and today's world pays a premium for anything and everything as long as you're a specialist. And there is super specialization in everything that you today see. Like there were these. I give this example of the tech stack that 10 years ago the only tech that used to exist in the corporate ecosystem was SAP. Everything was vertically integrated. To say HRMS भी उसी पे होगा, whatever factory planning भी उसी पे होगा, and everything. And that's also the if I take the medical field example, the same thing, that they were generalists. You'll pay 200 rupees to visit the most expensive doctor who will still be a generalist.
Yeah.
And then that moved on into specialists to say there's an ENT, there's a this specialist, there's a heart specialist, and so on and so forth. Likewise, in these softwares that we use. So now HRMS is a dedicated field in itself, and multiple different companies play with the logistics is a different field, supply chain planning is a different field. And really, that's it's about that depth, and every depth has its own value. And that's the only way to be. So if you really decide what you want to do, go there deep, and just be very, very sure this is what you want to do. Why do you want to do it? Not because of FOMO, because you see 5 of your friends are doing it and hence you want to do it. Not because your parents want to do it, but just because you want to do it. And it's okay, to not have all the answers. If your heart says you want it, don't try and over rationalize to say, will it get me somewhere? Is this the right thing to do? Trust me, there is no right thing to do. And there is no wrong thing to do. कुछ नहीं है, मतलब at the end of it, all of us are going to, nobody's going to get
Just
out of
is.
life.
It's just
Yeah,
is.
just do it and you have fun. If you're having fun, you're doing the right thing. I think it comes down to good leadership and bad leadership, which was as relevant 10 years ago is as relevant now.
Yeah.
And really starting off where I was talking about, why people like to work with each other is because they trust each other. They trust each other because they believe that you believe in their well-being, and that's the real trust, right? And it's not dependent on designation or levels, and that's not leadership. I don't think that I am a leader in the organization. Everybody in my organization is a leader. And there've been times, people in my organization have got sick during this COVID period. They got hospitalized and all of that. And somebody somewhere has just figured out and helped, and whatever I've got to know the next day, because for whatever reason, it didn't reach me, or I was caught up somewhere, and I didn't get into it. And I think that there's this team combined leadership that is there. There's coming together, and there's that. And
Community kind of, almost like the community taking care of each other's.
I don't think the sensitivity has increased or decreased pre-COVID, post-COVID. I think the chatter around may have increased or decreased. I think the people who really did care, or people who really were true leaders in that, human resources sense, have just become a little more valued now. But they're still doing what they. And the leaders who care, and I've been blessed with a few of my conventional leaders, if I were to say, who genuinely have believed in my well-being, who genuinely have believed in my career, work-life balance in that sense, career and whatever, all of those pieces, and they still continue to do so. And then there are, and then I know of some others, for whom it's a checkbox, and it needs to be done, and you need to start off every conversation with how are you doing. I've never been one of those people who ever started the conversation with how are you doing. So I don't. I jump to the point, but I say for me life is not linear. Like I'm saying, so it's not how are you doing, and then this is the work, and then whatever. To me, it starts with the work. To say, Achha, something is wrong with your face. What is wrong is all well. Then the child is all well. Then I go back to work. Then I feel something is wrong. Then I go back over there. So I'm one of those. So I don't. I'm able to follow the rule book. Like of hand, the team is not alike. So there are people who are relatively better off on some traits, and so you have to take a measured approach. In certain cases, you do need to measure productivity. It is needed, but you don't need to do it as a organizational wide practice. So this is the only way you need to, and you need to figure out your way across different parts of the ecosystem.
On LinkedIn, there was this huge controversial thread, and it was about that a lot of employers have contracts where the employee cannot work two jobs. Yeah. And it was just a discussion about ethics and all of those things. What do you think about it? Like, can the employee do two jobs? What are the implications according to you?
See, I've not given it so much of a thought, but right now and I talk about my organization policy also, right? Can't do two jobs.
Yeah.
There it is. The principle comes down to giving everything that you have to a mission that you take on. And the mission is defined as the pride of Beardo. Like I was saying, and there is no end to what you can do. If you have time, you have ideas, you have energy, the organization will enable you to do it. Or if you want to work in a different capacity, to say there is a skill that you want to share with the organization, there are of course consultant kind of roles available, but those roles are different. You come in for a specific project, you do that, but for the regular I would say members of the organization, the principle is slightly different. The principle is really what it takes, and in our case, we've not defined to go where. As long as we keep heading in the right direction, and what it takes to get us move faster in that direction is how we define it. And if that's what you're defining it, then I think it's not a matter of 9 to 5 or whatever. It's about prioritizing just one mission at one point of time, and not really taking on multiple missions. And like I was saying about that career of that guy or that girl who wants to get somewhere, I said decide one thing and keep moving over there. And this is what it is. We're part of this ship. This ship is going somewhere. So let's all, if we have whatever spare resources, spare energy available, let's try and get this there faster. And by all means, take more roles in the organization. I mean, if you are, and in my organization, I like this one example that which I really like. One of my RSMs was doing NPTs because the person had time and the person had some experience in his previous roles, and I can get into new product development. Will you allow me? I said, by all means, come and take it on. So that person was doing in his own spare time, and not in that conventional 9 to 5 role defined for the regional sales manager role. And we have enough and more of, and people always want to do more stuff. The entire idea of doing more is entire. The driver was pride of doing something with your life. That doing something with your life can be figured within the ecosystem of an environment, within the same team, for collective larger good. And that's how I look at this piece on not doing two jobs at a time.
So shifting gears, just some quick questions, some light questions, just maybe some practical tools and tips. What is an unusual habit, if at all, maybe usual for you, unusual for others, which relaxes? Where I know you like taking vacations, but that's something which is very common for many people. Is there anything like, for example, one person had told me that they like taking pictures of anything which is orange because orange really relaxes them. So do you have anything like that?
I think driving in any whatever context or setup, even if it's bumper to bumper traffic, actually relaxes me. Most people feel
that is unusual.
When I get into my cabin and I'm sitting in my car and there is no sound coming from outside, I am in my own zone. So I don't care what is happening outside. If there is traffic, it's taking 2 extra time to get somewhere. I really love my time in a car.
Just yeah. What is one of the most worthwhile investment or decision, investment of time, energy, effort, which has been really worth it in your well-being? Anything which you?
I think my friends. I think my friends. That's the most worthwhile investment that I have made, and till date, at any odd hour, whatever, whenever I need anything, that's where I lean back to. That's what an investment really is. That investment really helps you in times of need, and it's always been my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. What?
And not to forget my baby, since she may end up seeing this. I have to mention her. My baby is also worthwhile to be noted.
Urvashi is amazing. Do you have a morning routine?
Yeah, I do. So like I like to be in office sharp at 9, and I've always been I don't know how many years it goes back that I've always been like this. Like the culture at Beardo is not that. Beardo typically starts at 11. But I'm the one who opens the office. So I have the chabi to the office. So I open the office, switch on the lights, everything. But I think I still enjoy that morning time of mine. So my only routine, which I have not really violated in any shape and form, whether I've got up at 6, whether I've got up at 8, whatever, I'm in office at 9, and I spend that 1 hour in the morning, 9 to 10, which is my time, which I do kind of, just do prioritization of the day in my head, just reflect on, what is the last day that's gone behind, change gears from that, ghar ka tap not working and whatever that I was talking about to, okay, office ka XYZ not working and all those things. I can't, I would find it very difficult to operate, sanely without that 1 hour of mine in the morning, 9 to 10. Then I don't, where exceptionally I do take meetings during that time. It's usually at 9 to 10 is my time.
Awesome. It was so fun, Sujot. I'm glad we could speak. I hope it was good for you.
Good, good. I didn't realize we've already, we have run through the time.